Hi, I'm Benjamin Rothermel from the Benjamin C. Rothermel Esquire law firm.
And I'm Connor Jacquard. I'm an associate at the firm.
Today we'll be talking about trademark distinctiveness and why picking a distinctive trademark is important. Basically, distinctiveness is how strong your trademark is, and there is a spectrum of distinctiveness that the trademark office uses to determine how strong a mark is, and the further along the spectrum you go, the stronger your mark will be and the greater protection it will be afforded. So the lowest point on the spectrum is genericist. And what that means is you can't simply take a generic term and use that as your trademark. For instance, if you created a dwarf fruit tree company and called it Dwarf Fruit Tree Company or Fruit Tree Company, that would be generic. And you can't use a term that is generally used in the public to identify a good or a service and co-opt that as your own. Similarly, weak protection is afforded to a merely descriptive mark. So for instance, if you have a dwarf fruit tree company and you called it Small Fruit Trees Inc., that is probably simply descriptive of your mark and wouldn't be given much protection. A generic term is never given protection as a trademark, whereas a merely descriptive term is only given weak protection.
So those are the first two categories, and as Ben said, those have very weak or no protection for your mark. Once you pass from mere descriptiveness, however, into what the trademark office would see as a suggestive mark, you cross the line for what's called inherent distinctiveness. And that essentially means that once you get to the latter three categories, which we'll discuss, which are suggestiveness, arbitrariness, and fancifulness, you're now looking at a mark that might be strong enough for you to consider filing a federal trademark application. So what is suggestiveness? A suggestive trademark is sort of like a descriptive trademark in that there's some significant connection between your name and the type of goods or services that you're selling, but it's different enough from what you're selling that the consumer has to use some level of imagination to figure out what it is you might do. An example of a suggestive mark for our dwarf fruit tree company might be Lil Fruities. So that's suggestiveness. Now going into the next category, arbitrariness. An arbitrary mark is one that has some meaning, but that meaning is not connected in any significant way to what it is that your business does. So again, for our fruit tree company, that might be Pterodactyl Incorporated. Pterodactyl is a word that has some meaning, but it has nothing to do with dwarf fruit trees. So now we move into the strongest or highest category of distinctiveness on the spectrum, and that's called fancifulness. So a fanciful mark is a mark that has no meaning, it's made up, and has no meaningful connection to what you're doing. An example of a fanciful mark for our dwarf fruit tree might be Zorp Incorporated. Zorp has no meaning, so that's going to be a very strong and fanciful mark for a dwarf fruit tree company. So the key takeaway from all this is that the less your mark has to do with what it is that your company does or sells, the stronger the distinctiveness and the stronger the legal protection that your mark will likely get.
If you would like to discuss protecting your trademark or distinctiveness of your trademark, please feel free to contact us and we'd be glad to have a free initial consultation. Thank you.